For much of the war in Ukraine, Europe often seemed to be on the sidelines. Negotiations over the future of Ukraine were dominated by Washington and Moscow, with Kyiv at the center, but often reliant on its American partner. That balance, however, appears to be shifting. Since the Ukraine summit in Washington earlier this month, a new role has been outlined for Europe, one that many leaders say they can no longer delay embracing. This week in Copenhagen, that role was put to the test. Foreign and defence ministers from across the European Union gathered for informal but critical meetings with one central question before them. Can Europe deliver on its promise to guarantee Ukraine's security, not just in words, but in lasting commitments? For years, European capitals struggled to influence negotiations that were largely steered by Washington. Even as Moscow escalated the war and Kyiv resisted, Europeans often acted as financial backers and suppliers rather than equal decision makers. The US, with its vast military support, dictated the pace. But the Washington summit marked a turning point, with US officials making clear that Europe must take the lead in securing Ukraine's post-war future. Responsibility has now shifted. In practical terms, this means Europe, not America, will need to design, lead and enforce the system of security guarantees for Ukraine. These guarantees are not symbolic. They aim to prevent Russia from launching another offensive after a peace settlement. They may include European troop deployments inside Ukraine, a prospect that has already divided parliaments and stirred debates across the continent. Russia has firmly rejected the idea of foreign soldiers stationed on Ukrainian soil, branding it as provocation. But for Kyiv and its allies, the credibility of any peace agreement rests precisely on such guarantees. Without them, Ukraine fears Moscow will regroup and strike again. That is why Copenhagen became the stage for days of tense discussions. Behind closed doors, diplomats and defence chiefs debated not whether to help Ukraine, that much was already agreed, but how far they were willing to go. The arrival of EU Chief of Diplomacy Kaja Kallas and Denmark's Defence Minister Troels Lund Poulsen underscored the seriousness of the moment. As cameras flashed, the message was clear. Europe is no longer a bystander, yet uncertainty lingers. While there is strong political will, the details remain vague. What exactly would a European security guarantee look like? How many troops, under what mandate and for how long? Would they serve as peacekeepers, deterrents or frontline defenders? The most visible battle is now unfolding in Berlin. Germany, long criticised for caution, is under pressure to step up. Officials have confirmed that Germany wants to participate in security guarantees for Ukraine. But what that means in practice is dividing both parliament and public opinion.